why do we have to define masculinity or femininity? Why can't we just take care of business?
And who gets to decide though?
Yeah,
that's where it becomes a problem. Who gets to decide?
I mean, it's already been decided. I don't know who decided, but it's already. I think
white supremacists held on to the patriarchy. Like, just take care of business, man. Like, there's, you shouldn't have any hostility towards anybody that's not practicing oppression.
Is it hostility though? You think, like,
to constrain somebody's like natural development? You know what I'm saying? I think it is. If somebody wants to wear a dress and you like ridiculing them for wearing a dress, right? That's like hostile because they're not oppressing you. You know what I'm saying? They're not oppressing you. Engage with the brother to see like, one, if he identifies as a brother, but like also it's like, all right, let me talk to you about it. Like, educate yourself, inform yourself, then ask yourself, how is it hurting the community?
So I was on Facebook a couple days ago, and I saw this quote-unquote new trend called the Switch It Up Challenge. All right? Switch It Up Challenge is where black couples basically swap attire. The guy puts on the heels and the jeans and the shirt, and the woman does the exact same thing. All right? And I've seen a lot of people say, man, there is an agenda to emasculate black men. You see movie characters in dresses, and so on and so on. Do y'all feel like there's an agenda to emasculate black men, or is this just something? Is this just a common trend that just comes and goes?
I imagine people were asking the same question when Flip Wilson was on television. I imagine people were asking the same questions when in an episode of Sanford and Son, Fred Sanford disguised himself as a woman. And, I'll be honest with you, I don't completely get why it's a question. Like, why men dressing as women has to imply something about, black masculinity in general. I mean, on a personal level, I like Martin, the show Martin, and I thought Shanae was a funny character. I mean, weird and very stereotypical. I thought Wanda was funny, and I mean, somebody said this the other day, that looking through the optics of 2016, almost everything before now could be problematic.
It's true.
And I think, honestly, there's this tinge of homophobia that is connected to the idea of popular culture wanting to emasculate black men because black men are dressed like women characters. Have there been portrayals of black men in popular culture historically that wants to animalize or emasculate black men? Has that been purposeful? I suppose there is. I mean, I think we can probably definitely find examples of that. But like, I don't know. I hesitate to even give it some credence, because I think a lot of it behind it, again, is there's a certain level of homophobia, and then there's just some unnecessary fear mongering. I don't know.
I think the more dangerous thing for the black community is the inability to like figure out how to deal with kind of the queer community. You know what I'm saying? And I say that's the more dangerous thing, because when we talk about HIV and AIDS, and in some cities, the number of black gay men infected with HIV or AIDS is like 50%, right? 50% HIV/AIDS rate, and so imagine, you know, you got to deal with everything that black men got to deal with. On top of that, you know, you're isolated because you're gay, and on top of that, you know, there's a 50% chance that you're going to catch, you know, HIV or AIDS, and, you know, all of that together. And so, I mean, I think that's the more dangerous risk than some effort to emasculate the black man. You know, in terms of, you know, may I even see it with my family, like, you know, there might be, you know, a gay member of my family that I won't be as close to as a straight member of my family, because I feel like I can relate to the straight member more than the gay member. But it's like, you know, I think people like myself and yourself, all of us, have to challenge ourselves to really engage in a meaningful level with, you know, the queer community, because they're there. You know what I'm saying? They're there. They exist, you know. So you got two options, given that, you know, the queer community exists. You can either, or you got three options. You can be vindictive towards them, you can completely ignore them, or you can engage with them in a meaningful level, you know, and work together in the struggle that we're in. You know what I'm saying? Because how somebody dresses, you know, who somebody sleeps with, that doesn't affect my freedom. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, a lot of these policies and practices of, you know, the establishment, that's what really is constraining me. You know what I'm saying? And so that's, and constraining my loved ones. So, is there an effort? You know, probably some people, some prominent organizations do want to do that, but I think, you know, more effort is placed towards dividing and conquering the black community. Yeah.
And I think I have to add that, you know, in terms of, you know, what might be historical and current efforts to emasculate, I guess black men in particular, is tied to, you know, a very kind of toxic idea of what masculinity should be. You know, so I saw a man come in for career day at an elementary school, and he was a nurse, and he kept coming back around to the refrain, yeah, real men can be nurses too. And I'm thinking like, wow, why are you insecure in front of these fourth graders about, you know, whether or not, you know, you're a real man if you're going to be a nurse? I mean, like, why in 2016 is this even, you know, something that bothers you in that way? But I mean, you look at, you know, on the institutional level, I guess in terms of institutions that black people have some control over. I mean, you know, you look at churches, and you know, I've seen just folks in churches, leaders, go completely out of their way to try to call anything a sissy. You know, that's a word they're saying church, that they can say that, you know, or to, you know, to pray gay about folks, and to, you know, to really kind of go above and beyond what any part of the scriptures ever asked them to do. And I say above and beyond in a negative way, mind you. You know, to go outside of what any scriptures ever asked them to even do, and thus alienating people from, you know, what could be more loving and thus more viable institution. I guess I'm thinking of the church in general. Could be a more loving and could be a more viable institution. You know, I'm really kind of searching my mind, because, you know, I don't think I've ever thought of Medea or Shanae or, you know, these young men who are doing the internet postings with, you know, different, seems like a lot of lady church characters, you know, as something that's inherently dangerous to, you know, the community at large. Now, on a certain level, I think that, you know, this kind of mockery of black women and kind of putting them in these, you know, different caricature modes. I mean, the sassy ones, the neck rolling ones, the bougie ones, the churchified ones, and stuff like that, or whatever. There's there's something problematic about that in some ways, but you know, like I don't think I would get as a father. I have girls, you know, but I mean, as a father of sons, I don't think I would. It would worry me like, oh man, I can't let my son watch Medea because I don't want him, you know, to see this man dressed up as a woman. I'd be more so like I would hate for my son to see this horrible example of acting, and you know. Anyway,
well, I think also like we have to acknowledge, you know, we are 3 black men, you know, having this conversation, right?
Absolutely.
And everything we say is tinged in heteronormative patriarchy, not because we're inherently bad people. It's just we came up in this context, you know what I'm saying? And it would be, you know, it would be naive of us to not realize that a lot of this heteronormative patriarchy, you know, just made its way up inside of us. You know, but I think also you gotta think about it from the other person's shoes. So let's imagine like there is a black man that just wants to wear a dress every day, right? Now this is what this black man wants to do, right? Given that I'm all about freedom, you know what I'm saying? I'm all about freedom. That's my life, is freedom, right? So if there's, you know, 2 worlds that could exist, the world where this black man that wants to wear a dress feels so shamed that and so insecure and so persecuted that even though he wants to do this, you know, he doesn't feel like he has the freedom to do it, or the world where the black man that wants to wear a dress just feels free to wear the fucking dress
and can come in barbershops with a dress on.
Yeah.
Can
wear
come
the
to church
fucking
with a dress on. And
like, let the motherfucker wear the dress. What the fuck is wrong with you that this motherfucker wearing a dress somehow is an affront to you? Like, just let the motherfucker wear the dress and we can talk about some real shit. You know what I'm saying? And so the dress is just a small thing, but then it gets to like, you know, if somebody has HIV or AIDS, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see a world where somebody can say, you know, that they have HIV or they have AIDS and there's no stigma to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a world where there's more transparency and there's more freedom, because that way, you know, that way we can have peace, right? Without freedom, we can't really have that peace, you know. And so, since ultimately, you know, we want peace, then taking that individual's choices and taking it away from, shoot, I like drinking red wine, you know. Some people like, oh, you drink red wine? You just like, I like red wine, you know what I'm saying? And so if like, you know, if I'm living in a world where the only thing I can drink is E and J, you know, then, you know, that's you know, then that it would be nonsensical. It won't serve any purpose. So if like this black man wants to wear a dress, and it's not like 90% of black men want to wear a dress. This is a very small population that we're talking about.
But I mean, even if 90% of black men want to wear dresses, I mean, it's
whatever.
It just, I mean, you know,
do your thing.
I don't get how that really does any actual harm to anybody, except to the person who feels like they live in a society where they are made to be ashamed and could quite possibly face some form of violence because, you know, verbal or otherwise, because they're wearing a dress, or they don't feel comfortable. People who affirm themselves as to be, you know, Muslim or Christian or whatever, they're saying, well, you know, what's respectable within this community of believers is that I wear pants and a suit or pants and a shirt, and you know, I can't wear dresses. I can't take my issues to the altar with a dress on, you know, because then that becomes the issue in and of itself, you know. And
I think with that though, I mean, if we don't basically have any kind of parameters to what, you know, masculinity is, you know, because I feel like society is kind of moving in a direction where definitions and standards that have been set in place are basically being I don't know if they're being expanded or if they're being completely just, you know, taken away. You know what I'm saying? Can we really just afford to say, hey, you know, whatever you define your masculinity as, like, that's how you can define it. You know what I'm saying? Because we need, I feel like it's necessary to be able to identify certain things about people. You know what I'm saying? So that we can, you know, go about assess the situation.
Why do we have to define masculinity or femininity? Why can't we just take care of business?
And who gets to decide though?
Yeah,
that's where it becomes a problem. Who gets to decide?
I mean, it's already been decided. I don't know who decided, but it's already. I think
white supremacists held on to the patriarchy. Like, just take care of business, man. Like, there's, you know, you shouldn't have any hostility towards anybody that's not practicing oppression. You know?
Is it hostility though? You think, like,
to constrain somebody's, like, natural development? You know what I'm saying? You know, I think it is. If like somebody wants to wear a dress and you like ridiculing them for wearing a dress, right? That's like hostile because they're not oppressing you. You know what I'm saying? They're not oppressing you. You know, engage with the brother to see, like, you know, one, if he identifies as a brother, but like also it's like, all right, you know, let me talk to you about, like, you know, educate yourself, inform yourself. Then ask yourself, how is it hurting the community?